Hello there, welcome back to Spsv presentations. We're looking at chapter 6 and 7, finding your way around and fares. So finding your way around is just the National Transport Authority's way of getting across the importance of being familiar with the essentials of map reading and route selection. And they always say that, if you're not sure of the best route to take, check it on a road map or ask the passenger if they prefer a particular route. And importantly there on the second point, a passenger has the right to direct what route is taken. If they express a preference for a particular route, you should take that route. Now, when it comes to map reading and route selection, you should familiarize yourself with using maps to help you find your way around. Ordnance Survey Ireland has published a wide range of maps that are invaluable in helping you to acquire the required level of area knowledge and map reading skills. And again, they're available from irishmaps.ie or from Ordnance Survey Ireland agents nationwide, which indeed has its own dedicated websites. Now, of course, really, printed maps, for all intents and purposes, have been superseded by internet-based maps, and especially smartphone-based maps. And of course, most modern cars from at least 2014 on have inbuilt satellite navigation, which really is a huge help for any driver, whether it's a private driver or a public service vehicle driver, to navigate their way around in Ireland and beyond. So the internet resources have, of course, Google Maps, Google Street View, which is a huge benefit, and aligned to the air codes now are a phenomenal change, really, in helping people get around. But the other organisations are there too. AA Ireland are very good too, also in terms of traffic updates and road construction updates. Now, when it comes to map reading, place names and cities and larger towns, they're usually written in bigger or bolder letters, in capital letters. We need to be concerned with the scale and the scale bar. And of course, the scale of the map just tells you how to convert distances onto the map into real distances. So, for example, if the scale is 1 to 450,000, that means everything on the map is 450,000 times smaller than it is in reality. In other words, a distance of 1 centimetre on the map represents 4.5 kilometres on the ground. Maps will always have a scale bar, so you can visualize the distances on the map. There we have an example here. In some cases, maps actually include the distances between two centres. So there you can see between Kells and Navan, County Meath, there's a 16 kilometre distance there. The key, or the legend as it's known, explains what the symbols on the map means. So you can see all the various kinds of roads that are colour coded and given the appropriate letters as well, especially when it comes to motorways, national primary, national secondary roads, regional roads. Main streets and other roads or streets come in a yellow. Roads under construction have a broken blue and white stripe. A pedestrian street comes in pink. The grid. So the grid is the most important way really to identify a place. And that's done with the horizontal axes showing the letters and the vertical axis showing the numbers. So as you can see there from our example, County Wexford lives in the grid E5. So if we saw County Tipperary, South Tip would live in the grid D5 and so on. So that just allows us to home in on a particular area, and it's very convenient. And of course the index then, that will contain a list of all the streets on the map and their associated grid references. So that we can easily locate a street using the index and the map. Again, this all is to do with the paper-based map. Okay, we're going to have a look at this couple of maps here now. So this is a map of South Dublin. We can cross over the Liffey into North Dublin from Dublin 2 into Dublin 1. And again, as you can see, the grid references along the horizontal, we have our letters. It's they're on the bottom horizontal and the top horizontal. And I think the most important thing is to literally get our bearings. That's where the expression comes from. We have the north here, but what I like to do is, you know, put in my own just to verify it. If we're asked to do a little piece of map reading, and then here we have, so the cardinal points then just make life a bit easy, and so on. So clockwise from north, then north, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west. Okay, so let's just go on here. It's the same map, and you'll be familiar with this, but it's just a little reminder here. And this is, so what they want here is an example of an educational facility located in the southwest of the map, and whether it's Trinity College or DIT. And again, we have our north, south, east, west, southeast, southwest, northwest, northeast. So let's look to the southwest of the map, and we can see in the southwest of the map here we have Trinity College. Okay, next they're asking us about Connolly Station, so whether it's located in the northeast or the northwest of the map. Well, let's look at the northwest. I can't see it anywhere here. I can see the GPO. Let's go over to the north east of the map, and there we have Connolly Station. Okay, so Connolly Station is located in the northeast of the map. Now, if you walked east along George's Quay and crossed Talbot Memorial Bridge, you would reach either Burr Quay or Custom House Quay. So let's have a look at this. East along George's Quay. Here's George's Quay. So we're going to walk east. We're going east. Here we are here. And then if we cross the Matt Talbot Memorial Bridge, there, we're going to arrive on Custom House Quay. Custom House Quay. Okay. So I think that's reasonably straightforward. Let's move on. Here we've honed in specifically on Dublin 2. Okay, again, watch out for our grid references. So for example, if we look at Merrion Square down here, we can see that a majority of Merrion Square lives in grid reference S52. Okay, and so on. College Park here takes up probably 4 grid references here, for example, R49, R50, Q49 and Q50. Let's move on with one question here. What street would you arrive at having followed the directions below? So we're going to walk along Dawson Street, which is in grid P51. Here it's here, P51. So we're going to walk along Dawson Street in a northerly direction. Here we go. We're going to turn right onto Nassau Street. There we go. And take the second street on the right. So the first street on the right is Frederick Street South. So the second street on the right, lo and behold, is Kildare Street. Okay, up to Leinster House. So we can see here, it's a part of Dublin. You know, it's a part of Dublin that you probably are familiar with. So that's just a little bit of map reading that I've added into this presentation here. I think it's very straightforward, and from what I've done with you in class, you have absolutely no problem with that. Okay. Again, there's some more information here. I've taken this from our textbook. So they talk about the different types of technology. The most important ones there, I think, really are the internet and satellite navigation and phone applications with GPS facility, Google Maps essentially. Okay, now let's look at fares. We're going to look at taxi fares, Hackney and limousine fares, getting paid, staying compliant. Now, in 2006, to assist in the development of taxi services nationally, the whole country was designated as a single taximeter area, and a national maximum taxi fare was introduced to ensure that fares are transparent and predictable. A price list for all intents and purposes. Now, the latest such order came into law on the 1st of February 2018. And that still stands. Now, so we have here this table here, 3 columns, how the taxi is engaged, when the hire starts, and when to start the taximeter. Okay, so if a taxi is engaged by taking a passenger from a taxi rank or in response to being hailed on the street, the hire starts when you agree to take the passenger. Then you start the taximeter when you agree to take the passenger. Indeed, before you had the passenger with luggage, if that's the case. In responding to a pre-booked request, the hire starts when you present yourself to the customer at the agreed time. And you are entitled to start the taximeter if you are at the agreed time, not any earlier. Any delay caused by the passenger is calculated on the taximeter as a time-based charge. Similarly, any delay in the course of the journey, for example, to pick up additional passengers, is also calculated on the taximeter. Naturally, you'll be paying for your time and distance. The national maximum taxi fare is programmed into the taximeter, and that must be installed in all taxis. Customers are entitled to have the fare for their entire journey calculated and charged on the taximeter, and the fare calculated in this way is the maximum fare that the driver can charge for any journey. This is the case even where the fare for the journey has been agreed in advance. A taxi driver may charge the pre-agreed fare only if it is less than the fare calculated on the meter. Now, the calculation of the fare is based on when the journey takes place. So there are 3 tariffs: standard, premium or special premium. We'll look at those in a minute. And the length of the journey and or the time taken. Okay, so there's a flip-flop between the length of the journey and the time taken. Again, we'll come to that in a second. The initial charge always applies, and additional charges based on tariff A and B may also apply. The initial charge is fixed and covers any distance up to 500 meters or time period up to 85 seconds, whichever comes first. After that, the fare is calculated based on the distance travelled, or if the speed drops below 21.2 kilometers per hour, the journey time. Obviously, if you're below 21.2 kilometers per hour, it's time that needs to be factored in there. That's the cutoff speed. Now, here's just a table taken directly from the book. I know I've given you a spreadsheet as well. So you can see we have our standard rate down the left-hand column here. A standard rate, premium rate, and special premium rated, 1, 2, and 3, as denoted on the taximeter. So if we look at the standard rate, for example, that applies from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, except public holidays. There's an initial charge of £3.80. After that, then, for the next 14.5 kilometers or 41 minutes, okay, it's 1.14 per kilometer or 0.40 per minute, 40 cents per minute, up to a total of €20.40. After that, tariff B kicks in, where it becomes 150 per kilometre or 53 cents per minute. Okay, so whichever comes first, really, you know, whether it's the 41 minutes or the 14.5 kilometres, tariff B kicks in. And likewise, then the premium rate is a nighttime rate and public holidays and Sundays. And again, the initial charge is dearer. Tariff A and Tariff B are dearer. The special premium rate, that really busy time, that high demand time, and the initial charge is 420, and there's just one tariff where it's 180 per kilometre or 64 cents per minute. Okay, so that's just important. The three tariffs and the various charges and bands that live within those tariffs. Extra charges. So there's a booking fee of €2, and extra passengers. Taxi drivers may charge a fee of €1 for each adult passenger after the first. In relation to extra child passengers, one child under 12 is carried at no extra charge. The fee for 2 or 3 children under 12 is €1. 4 or 5 children, €2. And for 6 or 7 children, €3. Road tolls may be charged as incurred for toll schemes adopted by a road authority. In terms of soiling, there's a maximum fee for that, 140, and you know that's the taxi driver is entitled to have that compensation paid if that situation occurs. But it needs to reflect the costs reasonably incurred by the operator. Of course, the extra charges are listed on the in-vehicle information card. They are discretionary. The driver can choose to impose them or not. However, if extra charges are to be significant, the driver should make them clear to the customer beforehand. Charges for booking and for extra passengers where charged are recorded on the taximeter. Now, an extra charge must not be imposed for carrying luggage or an assistance dog. Now, you may charge a booking fee for a booking made by telephone, email, smartphone application, faxed, text or letter. Now, I think it's rare a taxi will be booked by fax or letter, but in true civil service speak, it's left in, you know. But you know, a lot of the big operators now in Dublin and Cork are really taking advantage of technology and smartphone applications, where they will charge. You may charge a booking fee for a booking made through a telephone call or a personal visit to a dispatch operator's office. Now, you may not charge a booking fee if a customer hails you in the street or you're engaged at a taxi rank, including an airport or another transport terminal rank. Toll roads. Again, you should advise passengers of alternative routes available where tolls can be avoided, and of course the likely costs and journey times associated with each. Again, toll charges would probably best be displayed in your in-vehicle information charge if it's a city operator really that's going to travel beyond the city through motorways that incur toll charges. The customer, of course, as we said earlier, is entitled to choose the route, even if you disagree with their choice. You are, of course, entitled to include the toll charge in the fare, in the total fare charge to the passenger. They should be recorded on the receipt. Now, if a taxi driver is using an electronic tag to pay the toll, it may not be obvious to the passenger what the charge is. Again, a schedule of toll charges in the car need to be available. Discounts. You have the right to charge the amount calculated on the taximeter, plus any permitted extras such as road tolls and booking fees. You must not charge more, but you may charge less if wish. And you should record any discount in writing on the receipt. Payment by credit or debit card. You cannot charge any extra fee for payment by credit or debit card. And indeed, no minimum fare may be set for payment by credit or debit card. Taxi receipts. The taxi meter must be switched on, and of course calculating the fare in line with the national maximum taxi fare. You must offer a taxi receipt printed by the printer attached to the taxi meter to all customers. If the amount you are paid differs from the amount calculated on the taxi meter, you should write on the receipt to show the difference and the reason for it. For example, if the customer includes a tip or if you offer a discount on the metered fare. And that's an example of a typical taxi receipt there. It includes the start time, the end time, the distance, the fare, space for tips or tolls or discounts, and the total paid, and that. Hackney and limousine fares. Customers must pre-book Hackneys and limousines and agree the fare before the journey starts. Hackney drivers and limousine drivers, except limousine drivers engaged for weddings or funerals, are required to carry a document in their vehicle showing the details of the booking. In other words, name, contact details of hire, starting point and destination, fare agreed. Those records should show the journeys they have taken, the fares they charge for the journeys, and the receipts they issued. And the National Transport Authority can ask to see these records at any time. So barring a limousine driver being engaged for a wedding or a funeral, it's important to document all this information because the NTA can demand to see it, like in kind of an audit. And again, the driver of a Hackney or limousine must make a receipt available to the passenger on completion of the journey. And this is the example of a Hackney or a limousine receipt. And that's essentially this presentation, a little over 20 minutes long. So we spoke about finding your way around, so to speak, just the essential skills of map reading, to be aware of the non-internet ways of gleaning information with respect to road journeys. Perhaps the best one is probably AA, but really the superior method now is the smartphone application. We just looked at a little bit of map reading, finding bearings, the grid reference, and then when the last chapter that we looked at was to do with taxi fares, just being aware of the tariffs and the bands within the tariffs, times and prices. I have a particular spreadsheet on that, and when we're in class again, I'll hope to give you that. And so that's chapter 6 and 7. We certainly have the back broken on the presentations and on the course as a whole so far. And so I hope to talk to you soon and see you then. Take care.